Oh, welcome to the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. You figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Hello. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, they continue to get crazier. And why? Oh, don't worry, friends. We're going to get into it today. There is a lot going on. And I reworked what this show is going to be about 4 times today. I really did. I had so many different directions I wanted to take the show, and maybe this is the beauty and also the curse of doing the show in the afternoon rather than doing the show early in the morning. But so much news broke on a Friday that I decided I'm just going to throw everything into a blender. And poor Amedeo, I can tell you right now, he might be in Epcot, he might be at the Magic Kingdom, I don't know where he is, in Florida, in Disney or Universal or whatever the hell the difference is. I don't know where he is, but man, when he gets back, he's going to have a lot to clip in this show, I can promise. And the reason is because things have gotten absolutely insane, unacceptable, and have reached a fever pitch with the Sixers, a team that we have not talked about a lot because they make me so damn angry. And it got worse today. The Sixers had arguably a disaster class, not a master class, a disaster class at their media day today. We're going to talk about it. We also have to bring in some national pundits that, well, really just one, Brian Windhorst, who essentially tried to get the stage set for Sixers fans on Thursday with just how bad the news was going to be about Joel Embiid, maybe even Paul George, but certainly about Joel Embiid, and despite the fact that the Sixers have been putting out all kinds of footage that makes you think, oh boy, Joel Embiid, he's lost a lot of weight, he's ready to go, everything's going to be great, hunky-dory. No. Not true. It's bad. It's bad, very bad. We got no really good answers out of the Sixers today, and we're going to get to it. I'm also going to adjust the volume of the microphone because I can tell that it's overloading. All right. Sixers, a mess. Flyers, a mess. There was like a good little thing that came out about the Eagles. We have a little bit of Radio Wars news. You saw it all over Twitter. We'll talk about that. And I have a bone to pick with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. And I know that should seem like nothing. I know that it shouldn't seem like that matters at all. But I promise you, it is going to be worth sticking around later on in the show. I got a bone to pick with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. It is the dumbest. For as bad as things were for the Sixers today, for as dumb and cognitively dissonant as things were for the Sixers today, the Pennsylvania Department of Education takes it about 15 notches up. And we're going to get there a little bit later on as I tell you one of the 75,000 different reasons that people like me who were once teachers got the hell out of education. I'm going to tell you all about it later on in the show. Before we get there, I am going to go out to the comments. I'm going to bring the comments section up here, bottom right-hand corner of the screen. All of the comments that have already come in will not populate there, but from now until the end of the show, the comments section will be live. I also may be open to doing the Fan Friday thing where we have callers calling into the show. If you want to do that, you can go find my Twitter account down here, @JoyOnBroad. Shoot a DM my way. I'll send you the link to the show. You can hop on if you have thoughts on the Sixers, on the Flyers, on this Department of Education thing that I hit on later on in the show. I'll DM you the link. It's pretty simple. It's still not the best version of this, but it is a version of it. And you know what? While I'm on the idea of calling into something, I do want to lead with something that's pretty important, and that is a little news that came out today over on the Snow the Goalie channel, also part of Joy Media here. There was an announcement that we made over on Snow the Goalie today, specifically, if you're a Flyers fan, about how you're going to get to perhaps enjoy, engage with the program this upcoming season. So I want to go out to our announcement today. And it's pretty big news. I would actually say that it's some of the most consequential news we've had for Snow the Goalie in a good long while. So let me throw out here really quickly to Snow the Goalie earlier today an announcement about a change in program, a change in procedure. And if you're a hockey fan, I think this is going to be really good news for you. And if you enjoy this show and you haven't gotten to Snow the Goalie yet, good news is there is time. And also you could just come find me. And we could just talk about any sport and any team. It doesn't just have to be the Philadelphia Flyers. But we're going to go out here really quickly to an announcement made on Snow the Goalie today. All right, here we go.
I believe October 15th will be the first day we do this. But we are going to be doing a weekly live Snow the Goalie. And we are going to be doing it from various Chickies and Pete's around the area on Wednesday nights. I shouldn't say night. It probably gets late afternoon, early evening. The time has not officially been said. I think it's going to be 6 o'clock, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We're still kind of figuring out those last details. But we will be live. So those of you who want to come out and join us, we'll let you know each week which Chickies and Pete's we will be at. And not only that, we will probably, Russ, have the ability tech-wise to have people be part of the show as callers into the show, because we are going to be partnering with a radio station to do it. Not one of the two big ones in town, but we will be working with. Just to kind of give this.
All right, so that's the whole thing. Ant gets very wordy here. So if you missed the announcement on Snow the Goalie, which you should go check out the episode today, because we dove into the legacy of Bernie Parent and also what's going on with the team right now and the underwhelming results they've had in net and which players might end up making the roster and all that kind of fun stuff. You should go check that episode out. But the big announcement is that we're going to be doing a weekly show Wednesdays from a rotating list of locations of Chickies and Pete's every Wednesday during the hockey season. It will not happen on, I think it's the 8th, is the day before the Flyers' first game when they're on the road. We won't be doing an episode then because yours truly is going to be in Las Vegas for work. I think Ant is going to be covering the NLDS at that point. And I think Bundy is also going to be down in Florida because he's going to be doing the Ice Wars stuff for bare knuckle fighting. So he's going to be the play-by-play guy, which is awesome. So none of us are actually going to be around. So we're going to start on October 15th. It's going to be a rotating list of Chickies and Pete's locations. And when the schedule is finalized and the locations, which ones we're going to be at each week, when that is finalized, we'll let you know. I'll bring it up here. I'll bring it up over on Snow the Goalie. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you come out, you find us during hockey season. I think it's going to be a great way for us to get out and see even more of you. A lot of people would come up and find us during home games doing Press Row Show. As of right now, the plan is still to do Press Row Show, so this is just kind of like an added layer, another way that you can come find us, and when it's not even a game day, you just kind of meander out there. You want to go grab a beer, you want to go grab a soda, you want to get some wings, some crab fries, whatever. You come out, hang out with us, we'll be doing the show, and as Ant mentioned in that announcement, we will be able to take calls on the radio. This harkens back to a day long ago when we did Snow the Goalie on 610 ESPN Radio in Philadelphia. It was hilarious. Back in the day, we were doing a show at the same time as Mike Missinelli was doing his show at 97.5. And it's not as if we were drawing like some incredible number, right, on an AM station that virtually no one listened to. But the station was shocked by the amount of phone calls we would get when we were doing Snow the Goalie Radio. So I would assume that we're going to have a similar reaction here, and we're going to have the benefit of also doing the show live. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be out on location at Chickies and Pete's, and it's going to be a really good time. So I'd encourage everybody to come out and find us. Yada, yada, yada. Thank you. All right, now, that is that. We are going to talk about a whole lot of stuff on the show, but that was something that I thought was worth probably leading with in case you might not have seen it today. So there you go. Little bit of fun stuff going on over in the Snow the Goalie world. Now, there are so many things to get to, and I have some Flyers stuff that I want to get to. But for better or worse, we are starting today with the Philadelphia 76ers. We will get to the Flyers and their issues in net, and we will get to the Radio War stuff, and we will get to my takedown of the Pennsylvania Department of Education. But first, we have to start with the Sixers. And the reason is the cursed franchise continues to be cursed. Two things happened on Thursday that gave you an indication that the basketball gods do not like the Philadelphia 76ers, or at least they haven't liked the Philadelphia 76ers since Josh Harris took over. We actually did get a little bit of breaking news. I saw Kyle Pagan actually spotted this. Now, we know this is an apolitical show. I equally dislike every political party. But there's an account over on Twitter called Oversight Dems. And there is something in one of the documents that you are going to find very intriguing. So Oversight Dems over on X put out some documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate detailing his daily schedule. And I want you to see whose name pops up on one of the documents. Okay? Now, it is a somewhat generic name, but we have to be fair because we are always fair on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, whose name do we see right here? Whose name do we see right here? So again, this is a document from the Jeffrey Epstein estate detailing his daily schedule. And for those who are listening in the podcast feed or those who can't see it in full, Friday, December 5th, 2014, New York, Zorro, TBD, tentative breakfast, party with Bill Gates, and then in parentheses, invited Ron Barron and Josh Harris, awaiting reply. Again, Jeffrey Epstein's estate detailing his daily schedule. Friday, December 5th, 2014, TBD, tentative breakfast party with Bill Gates, invited Ron Barron and Josh Harris, awaiting reply. Now, do we know if Josh Harris attended whatever this breakfast party was with Bill Gates? No, we do not. We have no idea. But I will point out, Josh Harris bought the Sixers in 2011. 3 years later, somebody with the name Josh Harris was invited to a breakfast with Jeffrey Epstein. Could it be that it's not the basketball gods who hate the Sixers? Could it be God himself who does not like the ownership of the Philadelphia 76ers? I don't know. But I will just point out, things have not gotten better for the Sixers. And so is it because of someone named Josh Harris being invited to a breakfast with Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know. You make those conclusions. I report, you decide. But I will point out that the shitty health luck continues to get shittier for the Sixers. And that, of course, popped up again on Thursday because right when it started to seem like things are getting better, you're seeing some film from in the gym of, Joel Embiid looking svelte. You're seeing Paul George, not on crutches. You're starting to see things that look good. Tim Bontemps had to put out this report, and this kind of broke Sixers Twitter yesterday. Philadelphia 76ers guard Jared McCain suffered a UCL tear in his right thumb during a workout. Sources told ESPN. He and the team are working with specialists to decide how they will proceed, sources said. Philadelphia is set to hold media day on Friday. So just when things started looking good, just when things started looking up a little bit, oh, good. The Sixers, who typically are the walking wounded, maybe things are finally turning around for them. Their fortunes are starting to turn around. A nice young core that you can believe in, a nice young core you can get excited by. Maybe this will be the year that the Sixers are able to pull the nose up on everything and things are going to be hunky-dory. Nay. No, if you had that kind of hope in your heart, I got bad news for you. No. So Jared McCain is out, and I saw somebody kind of floating out the idea yesterday that the last few players in the NBA who had a similar injury missed about 50-something days, or it was like 20-ish games or so. So not ideal. It's not a great thing. And Jared McCain, who lost a good chunk of his rookie year, which was a solid one, due to a meniscus tear, now he's out. But things actually, in a way, got worse yesterday because Brian Windhorst showed up on ESPN, and he dropped a little bit of a bombshell before Media Day. Media Day was on Friday, but Windhorst came out on NBA Today on Thursday, and he preached a lot of caution about what we were seeing from videos from the team about Joel Embiid and the perceived health of Joel Embiid. And so we're going to go out here to Windy really quick because this is bad, very bad. I'm going to warn you ahead of time that if you haven't seen this video, it is probably going to incense you. Here we go. So here's Brian Windhorst on Thursday talking about the health of Joel Embiid.
Yeah, so I know that there's going to be a big focus of when Joel Embiid is going to be able to play. And I'm not...
Shocker. People want to know if the franchise player is going to play. Okay.
Not sure that you're going to get a firm answer on that tomorrow or even in the near future. What I think the 76ers want is not...
Spoiler alert, he's very right. Because we did not get a clear and definitive timeline or answer on Joel Embiid's health or the timeline on Media Day. All right, back to Windy.
Not so much about when he can start playing. It's about when he does begin playing, keeping him sustainably on the court.
Yeah.
Because he...
All right, and we have to bail on it because if I keep that up for much longer, I'm sure YouTube or somebody's going to flag that there was a little video there. So Brian Windhorst drops this little bit of news and notes on Thursday. Don't expect a specific timeline on Joel Embiid. Okay, not great, but we did know that Media Day was going to be coming. And so we knew that Joel Embiid was going to speak to the media. And I want you to listen to Joel Embiid today and talking about his health and how he's feeling. And then tell me if you feel better about Joel Embiid than you did maybe like 2 or 3 days ago when we saw the film from behind the scenes released by the team of him presumably playing in a scrimmage or something, setting up, I think it was Tyrese Maxey. It might have been VJ Edgecombe. There's a clip going around of Embiid with a bounce pass to one of the guards, going up, completing a nice little finish at the rim, and you started to think, oh, Embiid must be scrimmaging with the team. Good sign. No, not as it appears. Here we go. Here's Joel Embiid today talking about his health.
Feeling, and when are you going to be playing? Whether you're going to play in training camp or start for the season, what's going on with your health?
Feel pretty good. I think we made a lot of progress over the last.
I feel pretty good. That's not trending in a great. We've made a lot of progress. Also, not inspiring confidence.
Last couple of months, we got a plan in place.
We have a plan in place. Didn't we hear about a plan last year? Didn't we hear about a plan going into training camp last year? Didn't Daryl Morey kind of like hide in a corner away from the media and send Nick Nurse out to take the strays from the media about the plan? There's a plan. We're on track with the plan. The plan was never detailed to anyone. The plan was never explained to anyone. Okay, we're back to this again.
I'm trying to check all the boxes. So, just taking it day by.
There's a plan and we're checking the boxes. Again, this is not inspiring confidence. If you're like, oh, Joel Embiid. If you thought this was going to be like, hey, Joel, you think you're going to play in training camp preseason? Like, how you feeling? And if you were going to be like, oh, yeah, you know what, feeling real good about my progress. We think that I'm going to play the regular season. We're ramping up, going to play, start the season. Trust the process. If you thought you were going to get that, you didn't get that. Back to Joel.
This is still, kind of like a fill period where we just, taking it day by day, keep getting stronger, keep getting better. There's been a few core sessions, so everything is, on schedule. So
taking it day by day, everything's on schedule. I'm dying on the inside.
But I think, with the team, following whatever we have planned, I think, there's not necessarily an expectation.
There's no expectation. Oh, that's good. Because if you set the expectation low, you can never be disappointed. Okay.
All about making sure everything is right and doing everything right. And, and then go from there.
There's an Adam Sandler song that some of you might remember where he says, "Somebody kill me, please." That's everybody who's a Sixers fan, and only a Sixers fan maybe doesn't root for the Eagles or the Phillies or the Flyers. They're only a Sixers fan, and their entire existence as a sports fan is tied directly to the outcome of Sixers games and Sixers-related activities. That's what those people must feel like right now. Okay, so Embiid tells you that things are on track. They have boxes they're trying to check. There's a plan in place. I'm not going to fault Joel Embiid. We've talked about this. You can't rush your body to recover, to feel better, right? It doesn't happen. You can't do it. I'm not going to fault the human being for being injured. But I might fault the messaging that has happened to this point. I'm going to get there in a second. Because before I do, I have to go out to somebody who has been absolutely insufferable, whose existence as an executive in this city, the fact that he still remains in the position of power that he does, makes me ill. And that is Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey met with the media, along with Nick Nurse. And Daryl Morey gave another answer that is going to, if your blood pressure is here, right? Like maybe when you first came onto the show, you're like, oh, the Russ Joy Show, we're going to be a little bit happy, we're going to enjoy, we're going to have a little bit of joy in our lives. And you maybe even lowered your blood pressure. And then I slowly had to build you up because of what's going on with Embiid and the fact that there's a plan in place, but we don't actually know what the plan is, and it doesn't sound very promising. Daryl Morey is going to break the top of the thermometer. All right, let's go. And I know that has nothing to do with blood pressure. I don't care. He's going to break the meter. The cuff is going to pop off your arm. Here's Daryl Morey. This was a follow-up after Embiid had already spoken to the media, after Daryl Morey had time to assess what Joel Embiid had to say, and after Daryl Morey had the ability, because he's very online, to see how the fans reacted to Joel Embiid's notes about his recovery. This is the best Daryl Morey could do with Nick Nurse sitting next to him. Here's Daryl Morey on Joel Embiid and Paul George. You might remember he also plays here sometimes.
Yeah, I think I think you heard it from them, and this is, straight from the doctors. We're not getting into the expectations game. The doctors.
We're not getting into the expectations game. I want to re-rack that a second, because I don't know if you know this or not, but typically when a player is injured, you typically come up with a timetable for their return. Like that's usually happens.
The expectations game.
Oh, okay.
The doctor's advice, what Joel said on listening to his body, which is a big component, and how doctors manage injuries. That's going to be what carries the day this year.
What?
And this is, straight from the doctors. We're not getting into the expectations game.
We're not going to get into the expectations game. We're going to, according to the doctors, we're going to listen to Joel and I guess Paul George. They're going to listen to their bodies.
We're going to listen to their bodies. We're going to be taken away to a magical place where we listen to the bodies. We listen. Joel says, oh, my knee's feeling not so great. I'm not going to play today. Okay, well, that makes sense. Oh, Paul George says, oh, my knee still hurts me. I can't play for the next 3 weeks. That's what my body's telling me. Okay, we're going to listen to that too.
You can't. How are we doing this again? How are we doing this again? I'm going to tell you why I'm angry. You know why I'm angry. You know why I feel misled. You know why a lot of Sixers fans feel misled. This isn't the shit we've been seeing, especially in recent days. I mean, Sixers did a really nice rollout, right? The black jerseys we talked about. It was lovely. It was great. The Sixers have been dropping video, images, making you feel like Joel Embiid is close to being back. You don't believe me? You have questions about the messaging the Sixers have put out there publicly? Let me just take you back to September 23rd. That happened to be this week. Let me just take you back to the Sixers' own marketing on Twitter. This came out on the 23rd. All right, so they got VJ Edgecombe playing a little defense. We'd love to see that. Joel Embiid bounced past Tyrese Maxey. I was right. Now, I don't know about you,
but I'm feeling 22 games is the most that Embiid will play next to you. You don't know about PG, but I bet you want to. He'll play like 12 or 20 games. Maybe combined they'll just play 22. Ooh, ha ha ha. 22. Ooh. Talking about injuries. It'll be the whole team talking about injuries. I hope it's not Maxey talking about injuries. It looks like bad news. It looks like bad news gonna happen to you!
Paul George! Paul George! Lifting a few days ago! The shirt's off! The towel's around the neck! He's doing the kettlebells! Does he look injured to you? Does it look like they're trying to say, patience is a virtue? Paul George is listening to his body. No! Again, this is what the Sixers put out 3 days ago. 3 days ago. Joel Embiid on the court. We see a blue team and a gray team. Presumably, this is a half-court drill. Could it be a scrimmage? Don't know. Is it just a regular drill? Maybe. But Joel Embiid looks like he's on the court. Paul George is lifting. And then on media day, 3 days later, we are told there's no timeline for Joel Embiid. There's no timeline for Paul George. Nay. We're just going to listen to their bodies. Their bodies are going to tell us how they're doing. I'm going to go out to the comments. And I'm going to try to lower my own blood pressure. Chris Freed, safety check on Russ. Ford is here. Says checks will keep clearing. Yep. Josh Gaynor, sorry. Go home early. Yeah, you can. It's okay. But make sure you keep the show on. Jim Grasso says, just sell or move the team already. City would be better off with an expansion team. Tony Louie said that my screaming got him fired up. Made him scream into a pillow. Ford might call into the show, says if I call in, I'm going to lose my mind. Don't forget, if you want to call into the show today, you shoot me a DM over on Twitter at JoyOnBroad, and I'll send you the link. Chris Freed says, did you know Swift growing up? You're both the same age. No, I didn't, but I can tell you that there's going to be a blank space pretty soon, and it's going to be the amount that I care about the Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Greg Bondarenko asks, can we exchange teams? Change with another city's team? Maybe. Brian Knowlton, can't believe we still have a basketball team. Zach O, enjoyed the karaoke. Thank you, Zach. It got a little bit out of hand. It might have gone a little bit too long, but I felt like it was right. It was the right thing to do. I'm so frustrated with the messaging. So unbelievably frustrated on the messaging. Because this once again feels like a team that doesn't get it. This feels like a team that had a lot of positive momentum going because of what they put out themselves as a team. And now it feels like it has gone backwards. Oh, but don't worry, it gets worse. It does. Because Paul George met with the media today. And you can look at this maybe as a positive. You could perhaps look at this as a big positive that he still has confidence. But Paul George was asked about his role on the team and what he views as his role on the team going into the season, because obviously he's been injured. He was brought in here to be a star player, but maybe he has to kind of play third fiddle behind Embiid and Maxey. And so I want you to hear about Paul George, because Paul George, you can tell me if it sounds like a guy who's aware of where his stock is right now in this city and across the league.
How you kind of approaching the season?
I think it's everything. Again, getting healthy. The Paul George that the 76ers went out and signed. I think I still got a lot of game in me.
Okay.
Playing at a high level, like that's still who I am.
Can we define a high level, though? So he wants to prove that he's the Paul George the Sixers signed. I love that, because that is a very good player that the Sixers signed. I don't mind confidence. All right, let's keep going. Maybe he can pull this back.
I got to get healthy to get to that point.
That is true.
I won't be, I don't think, a part of camp going into it, but I do have a voice in being a part of the team to help the young guys and kind of touch that point early on into the season to start out. So I guess to your question is being both.
I want to re-rack.
Young guys and kind of touch
Right
camp
here.
going into
Here we
part of
Here we
be, I don't think, a part of camp going into it. I don't think a part of camp going into it.
Okay, so
Let's do a little recap here. Okay, a little recap. Love a good recap.
Joel Embiid has to listen to his body. Paul George will not be ready for camp. Doesn't sound like he's going to be part of camp, but he has a voice. Now, again, I'm not going to fault Paul George. His body gave out on him. Not his fault. He had knee surgery. I don't even know if I expected Paul George in camp. But this is the problem with how the Sixers messaged things going into media day. Again, you had Joel Embiid in a clip playing what looked like a scrimmage. You had Paul George in the gym, shirt off, flexing, Dude's in great shape. That's a good thing. Good news. But now he's saying he's not going to be part of camp. He's not going to be a participant in camp. Doesn't look that way. Okay. So we're supposed to, okay. That's great. So that's a little bit iffy. Okay. And then Paul George said something that's going to probably age like sour milk. So he talked about how bad last year was. And he has a quote that I think is going to potentially go down as one of those. So you might be wondering how I got here kind of quotes. Paul George opened up. And again, I'm not going to fault the guy. He opened up. He's trying to be honest about how bad last year was. He said it was, personally one of the hardest years, professionally one of the hardest years. And then he dropped this doozy of a line about last year.
From a motivational standpoint, can't get no worse than last year, right? Like, that was a rock bottom kind of season. Worse than last year, right? Like, can't get no worse than last year, right? Like, can't get no worse than last year, right? Like, can't get no worse than last year, right? Can't get no worse than last year, right? Like,
hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. It can't get no worse than last year, huh? So you must be new around here. You must be really, really new around here, Paul. Yeah, it can. And it probably will get worse around here. Jared McCain's hurt again. Embiid, we're listening to his body. Paul George isn't going to be part of training camp. It's fine. Everything's fine. Daryl Morey's still running the show. Oh, and this doesn't even begin to include the fact that Quentin Grimes, they've made no progress with. He apparently was $20 million a year or maybe more, and the Sixers, I think, reportedly offered him $10 million a year. And so now they might play a one-year contract out, which would then lead to Grimes being an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. So that's great. Oh, and by the way, they lost any kind of potential leverage they might have thought they had as soon as Jared McCain got hurt. So yeah, it's bad. It is bad. Yeah. Connor Buss is right. Saying to Paul George, hey, pal, you just blow in from a stupid town? Yeah, it's not good. Not good, guys. Not good. And I see the comments about the videos being low. I can't do anything about it. I don't know why they're low today. I will try to fix it for next episode. But this is just insane. Absolutely insane. I don't even know how to feel. Except frustrated. Now, I'm going to try to spin this in a positive way. I know it seems crazy. I've gotten myself very emotionally worked up on today's show. But I will try to give you one good clip that we can all take from Media Day. And it is Joel Embiid talking about VJ Edgecombe, who's obviously going to be a very important piece of this team, especially with Jared McCain out. A lot of people thought that the Sixers had a glut of guards. Well, with McCain being out, it is going to probably change things a little bit. And Joel Embiid had some really nice things to say about the Sixers' first-round pick, who they took over Ace Bailey. Let's go out to Joel Embiid today, talking about VJ Edgecombe and what he's seen from the rookie so far.
Him a lot. Obviously, I've talked to him a lot. And, even before, even as soon as we drafted him, I just knew I would like him. I like his background. Kind of reminds me of myself, coming from another country and, having a lot of hardships growing up. And he's an amazing kid so far.
Okay, there you go. Hey, how about a little positivity? I'm not even going to offer commentary on it. Good little bit of positivity. Embiid likes VJ Edgecombe. That's good. Awesome. Very good. Let's feel okay. Brian offers a Snickers and a cream soda and a cream soda. I don't like either of those things. I know. I'm going to probably piss off some people. I don't like either of those things. So if you send them to me, maybe I'll give them to my wife or somebody else. But thank you for the gesture. Very kind of you. Connor Buss also asks the question about the indoor winter teams. He says, why are our winter teams a shit show besides the Birds? Yeah, it's maybe it's the curse of the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Now, I thought that the curse was going to be lifted when they changed the name from Wells Fargo Center. Jared McCain's hurt, so we can probably say it has nothing to do with the name of the arena. It really just has to do with the arena. So as long as they play out of there, it's bad, bad, very bad. Okay. Not ideal. Okay, fine. That's it from Sixers Media Day, because if I have to get on anything else, if I have to talk about Daryl Morey again, I think I might lose my ever-loving mind. So three other things to get to. We still have to get to the Flyers. We have to get to the Jon Marks news. We have to get to me with the Department of Education. I'm going to take you over to little Jon Marks news, okay? Because we've been alluding to this on the show for a while, and it was made official. Jon Marks is going back to 97.5 The Fanatic. He's going to take over the midday show, which is a very exciting move for 97.5. I've been saying for a while, right? 97.5 just has to do something to solidify the station. I think Bill Colarulo's idea of the make the switch thing has been a very interesting one. We'll see in the ratings book if it has made any kind of a shift. We'll see if it changes anything. Obviously, this is a very tough time for the Fanatic because it's Eagles season and WIP has the rights to the Eagles. And so it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make significant wins and gains on WIP. But they do have the rights to the Flyers. They do have the rights to the Sixers. And we'll see if it actually does anything for them. But there was a little announcement that 97.5 The Fanatic put out. Bill Colarulo introduced Marks back to the station over on 97.5, I believe it was yesterday. So we'll throw out here to their announcement here real quick. Not the whole thing, but we'll listen to Jon Marks going back to 97.5 The Fanatic, where he was when I was in college.
Johnny Marks! Hey! My man! Right there? Johnny Marks bringing him back home to 97.5 The Fanatic. How many years has it been, my brother?
9 years next month was my last day at the Fanatic. October of 2016.
Nice. Man, oh, man.
He's
Ricky
back.
Bo, Johnny Marks in the house.
Yeah,
He's back. Psyched to have you on, pal.
it's kind of surreal walking in here today and seeing a lot of the faces that I knew from many years ago, and a lot of new faces as well. And I am like, it's crazy, man. I can't believe that I'm back. I'm back. I'm ready to go. Ricky, it's been 2 years, almost 2 years since I've worked full time. I've been working very part-time the last couple of years. So you know what that means? I have a lot of energy and I'm broke. So I need to get back to work.
He's hungry. So you're ready to go.
So it is kind of wild if you think about it. And we always talk about the fact that, and this goes back to even the Crossing broadcast days when we would kind of assess where the radio stations were in Radio Wars. You see a lot of that incestuous culture, right? Of like a guy's at one station, he leaves that station and goes to the other one. We saw Missinelli make the jump. We saw Gargano make the jump. We've seen DeCamera make the jump. It happens. Happens a lot. And it's interesting that 97.5, remember, they had Missinelli. And if you read Crossing Broad's breakdown of the whole thing, Crossing Broad reported that apparently there was a thought that Jon Marks was going to reunite with Mike Missinelli, for whom he served as a producer way back in the day, and that they were going to do the midday show until Missinelli retired at the end of football season, and then it was going to just become Marks' show. And then, I don't know, was it about a month ago, a few weeks ago, the announcement was made that, like, unceremoniously, Mike Missinelli was fired and gone from the station, and that was it. And there's more nuance to it. You can go check out the Crossing Broad write-up on it. But that would have been interesting. Missinelli and Marks together, I don't know what that would have looked like, would have sounded like. It probably would have been something that you want to tune into. Marks had a ton of success on WIP's afternoon show. If you remember way back when, I'll try to go back as far as I can, there was a time where Jon Marks hosted a show with Sean Brace on The Fanatic. There was a time that he hosted a show with Harry Mays on The Fanatic. There was the morning show that ended like the Mike and Mike Stranglehold, the ESPN syndicated national morning show. It ended the stranglehold on that. That was, I think, around the time that I started teaching down in this area. And so that was Gargano and Marks and MCW, right? I think was her name. And they did their morning show against Angelo Cataldi, and it had like varying levels of success, right? But Angelo had an absolute monster of a show, and like I don't think anybody was ever going to beat it. But Marks did a bunch of different things over at the Fanatic. He goes to WIP. He leads that afternoon show. It crushes in the ratings. It absolutely decimated what was formerly known as the best show ever. Eventually, that show gets blown up. Marks also leaves. He goes to PHLY. He was doing a show every day over at PHLY, varying levels of success there. I've been pretty clear about, I think, my overall idea of how I think a lot of those shows are going to go that are not the team-focused shows. I think it's going to be really hard for anybody to get a significant foothold over there. There are reasons for it. I don't know why they haven't figured it out yet, but they might eventually figure it out. I did see that Bill Matz has his own daily show now, and I think I wished him well on Twitter, but I will wish him well as well because he's very good. And I think he'll find a lot of success. He's a more online-based kind of guy. So I think his show will probably do very well. Marks, going back to the Fanatic, makes a ton of sense. It stabilizes the middle of the day. Now all they have to do is figure out how the fuck to fix the morning show. I can think of one way to fix the morning show. It's probably to let a contract run out and then hand the show over to the co-host or maybe bring somebody else in. The real question here is going to be, is there anybody at WIP right now who has a meaningful hosting role at that station who doesn't like the direction of where the station has gone? And listen, if you talk to people who used to work at WIP, even if you talk to some people who do work at WIP, there is very clearly an effort to do things that are going to be clippable, to do things that are going to play well on social media, that are going to drive people to call into the station, to tune into the station, to tune in through the app. It is smart and it works. And people complain about it, but it works. People complain about hot takes, but it works. It drives conversation. Even sometimes on this show, we dissect some kind of insane take that's put out. It works. The question is, are there people at WIP who think that they could do a better brand of radio by going over to the Fanatic and taking over the morning show? Because make no mistake about it, I do not envision a scenario, I could be wrong, but I don't envision a scenario where they are going to continue to roll that same morning show out for the next, 4 years. I just don't see it. Could be wrong. I don't know how long the lead host's contract runs, but I cannot envision a scenario where that's going to happen. So it's an interesting place to be right now. We wish Jon Marks the best. Perhaps we will have Jon Marks on the show to talk about the decision to go back to the Fanatic. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work well for him. We will see in the next ratings book or two, though. Will the Marks leading into Colarulo, will that help the afternoon show? I would think so. I would think that midday show is probably going to perform better. Marks has a very loyal following, and I think that group of people kind of followed him over to PHLY. They followed him into some of the podcasting stuff that he's been doing post-WIP, and I think they're going to follow him over to the midday show, so we will see. Jim Grasso, with an interesting one, says, Josh Innes is the only person that will make a dent in the ratings lead the WIP morning show has. Were it not for a very long list of places that Innes burned bridges and burnt himself out, I would say Innes would be almost a perfect morning radio guy. Because his brand of entertainment, his brand of a show would play tremendously well with a cast in the morning. And it might actually take a chunk of the listenership from WIP's morning show. I'm pretty confident in that. But I cannot envision a scenario where Scott Masteller, the program director over at the Fanatic, says, yeah, I want to go play that game. I just don't see it. There's got to be somebody else out there, though, that could come in. I've always been surprised that Mike Golick never made his way to Philly Sports Talk Radio. I thought that there was going to be a scenario, and it was years ago, where Golick was going to either take over for Angelo Cataldi or that Golick was going to potentially take over the morning show on the Fanatic. And maybe it's just the cost is too high. Maybe he doesn't want to be tied down to one market. But I think at some point that could have been a really interesting hire. I don't know if there's anybody out there right now that you look and say, if that guy jumps ship, it fundamentally changes everything for 97.5's morning show. I don't see it. I really don't see it. But I could be wrong. Okay, that was our radio news. We have flyer stuff, and then I have to skewer the Department of Education. Which way do I go? So I'll go to flyers here real quick. So things are bad if you are paying attention to the Philadelphia Flyers in preseason. things have been very, 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 very bad. And in net, things have been exceptionally bad. And if you listen to Snow the Goalie today, you will have heard these numbers, so apologies to those who did hear it. But I am going to go over with you really quickly how bad things have been in net for the Flyers through 3 preseason games. Because make no mistake about it, this is largely inexcusable, and this cannot continue into the regular season. So remember, Flyers traded Ivan Fedotov away, so they would get rid of that glut, that weird rotation of potentially 3 goalies at the NHL level. They were going to have Alexei Kolosov and Carson Bjarnason start in the AHL, and that was going to put Sam Ersson and Dan Vladar at the NHL level. All right, so in the first preseason game, Alexei Kolosov allowed 2 goals on 17 shots faced. Not bad. Not great. Not bad. First preseason game, you probably kind of squirreled that one away. Carson Bjarnason came in the game, gave up 0 goals on 17 shots. You go, okay, Bjarnason, that's good. Don't expect him at the NHL level, but that's a nice little showing. Flyers then lose 4-2 in Montreal. Alexei Kolosov gives up a goal on 13 shots, but not before Sam Ersson gives up 2 goals on 9 shots faced, which led to him getting pulled at the end of the first period. And if you weren't paying attention at the time, and I can't blame you if you weren't because it's not on TV, it was like streamed through the Flyers site with the French video, if I remember correctly, like French-Canadian telecast, the Canadiens telecast, but it was through the Flyers site with English audio. Kolosov got yanked after the first period, and reporters had said Tocchet told them that Kolosov was going to, or that Ersson was going to play the entire game. And instead, he got yanked after the first period. And then post-game was like, well, no, not the full game. He was only going to play the first period, which is dreadful and brutal. Okay. And then on Thursday night, the Flyers took on the Capitals, and it got even worse because Kolosov gave up 4 goals on 20 shots faced. Vladar gave up 1 goal on 9 shots faced. And here's your problem if you're the Flyers. Same thing that I have been pretty consistent about, right? I have been preaching to everyone since the end of last year that I thought Briere was going to do enough to improve this team, that they were going to be a bubble playoff team, that they had a legitimate chance of making the playoffs. And I will stand pretty resolute in the belief that the forward core is actually okay. It's not going to blow your doors off, but I do think that Trevor Zegras is going to work really well with Matvei Mishkov. I do think that Nikita Gerbenkin, if he makes the team, can bring something very unique to the table. I do love the fact that Tyson Forster is getting a ton of love and support from the Kutzes of the world, but even notably, Rick Tocchet said a few days ago, Sidney Crosby talked about Forster as a sponge and as a guy who just did everything he could to learn and learn and learn when they were playing together with Canada. I love all of that. And I want to imagine that Tyson Forster is going to take another step. I want to imagine that Bobby Brink can take another step and Cates can take another step. The blue line's not great. Risto is out for God knows how long. Today on Snow the Goalie said that he thinks maybe November return for Risto, which is bad, very bad. They don't have size on the blue line, so Emil Andre probably won't be on the team to start. Helge Grans probably ends up making it in. So they're going to have some youth on the blue line, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't give you a lot of hope if your goalies stink. And make no mistake about it, these goalies are not very good. Now, I'm not going to crucify Dan Vladar today. Vladar was brought in to be a backup, and a backup he shall be. And in fact, he had like a near 900, like a near 900 save percentage last year with the Flames, and I think it was 21 games played. He did okay. He's a backup. He's meant to be a backup. Your issue here is Sam Ersson. Because if Sam Ersson can't be a number 1 guy, but you're going to have to lean on him for number 1 guy number of games, you're screwed. Last year, we saw Ersson fall apart. We saw his groin give out 3 separate times last year, leading to 3 different stints of being away from the team. Not ideal. Being out of the lineup. Not ideal. Leading to us having Fedotov and Kolosov rotating in and out. Not ideal. That's bad, very bad. And even if you go back to the year before, when Carter Hart pieced out and Ersson had to take over the bulk of the work for the second half of the season, also didn't exactly pan out well for Ersson. Worth noting, his save percentage got worse year over year. His goals against went up year over year. And so far, the limited results we've seen in the preseason haven't been great. Now, Sam Ersson in international play in the 4 nations looked good. Why it's not translating to the NHL, I don't know. But as of right now, it's like the forwards look okay. Forwards look like they have some dynamic ability to them. I would argue that the forward core is actually better this year than it was last year. And again, I think Zegras and Mishkov are going to play well together, and I think this power play is going to be better. And even if the power play goes from the Rocky Thompson horror show to like middle of the pack, they'll win games. Your problem is that if you don't even have remotely competitive goalies in net, you can't be a team that pushes for a bubble playoff spot. And I know that a lot of people want the Flyers to bottom out and become a Gavin McKenna darling, right? I just don't see it happening. The only way it happens right now is an unintentional tank, the likes of like a Chuck Fletcher unintentional tank, where like the Flyers thought that Ersson could actually lead the way as the number one. They said Dan Vladar is a good backup. We're going to use that to stabilize. Kolosov, Bjarnason are going to work together, develop together in the AHL, and this is going to be fine, and it'll be a good stopgap year until next year when maybe Kolosov moves up or something. But man, so far, so not good for the Philadelphia Flyers in net. And we'll talk about it more as things go on because the preseason is going to continue, and we're not that far away. We're like, a week and a half away from the Flyers season actually starting, and then it's going to be all Flyers, baby, all the time. Get yourselves ready. Jim Grasso says, doesn't help that the defense is atrocious. It's bad. I don't know if I'd say it's like the most atrocious, but it's pretty bad. Tony Louis says, forwards look decent. Defense, always a bottom 5 unit, maybe bottom 3, and they've done nothing to improve that area the last few years. They pass on them high in the draft every year. Well, I mean, they passed on Zeev, who had the same agent as Cutter Gauthier, and maybe that was the concern, but they passed on Zeev and they took Jet Lachenko. And Jet Lachenko's probably going to go back to Guelph, because Jet Lachenko doesn't have much of an offensive game to show for anything. And he's a first-round pick. And that's concerning. And he didn't exactly light up juniors last year offensively. And he hasn't exactly stood out thus far in preseason. So somebody try to make that positive. Okay. Bondarenko says, at least we can look forward to Martone next year. Correct. Although, depending on when his team's season ends, did they get to the Frozen Four? Did they win the championship? It'll all depend. He will be able to come up after that. So I would expect Porter Martone at the end of the season, and then certainly next year. Now, I have to get to this before the show ends. I have beef with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Now, you sometimes hear people say the education system is broken in this country. The education system is broken in this Commonwealth. I'm not going to get into Common Core. I'm not going to get into what's being taught in your classrooms, what's not being taught in the classrooms, how useful Calc 3 is versus like a basic accounting class. The fact that some school districts funnel kids into AP classes they don't belong in because they just like having the designation of being an AP school. No, we're not going to go there. We are not going to talk about the fact that so many school districts, especially in southeastern PA, really do force a lot of kids that don't belong in AP classes into AP classes where they ultimately score like a 2 on the exam, but the school gets to feel good.
Oh, he sent so many children into the AP program. Look how great.
Yeah, okay. We're not going to do that. We could do that another day. We could talk about the fact that Calc 3 is largely useless unless you're going into 1 or 2 fields, and that like there's no reason that a kid that's going to be going to college for journalism should be tracked into Calc 3 because it's dumb. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to hold that one off to the side. We'll come back to that another day. No, I'm going to just simply point out how absolutely fucked the state of education is right now. And not for the kids, not for the students. I mean for the teachers. Because one of my good friends has been a very dedicated teacher at the high school level. And he now becomes, by my count, my calculations, the 15th teacher that I know personally that has left teaching since 2021. 15th. 14 of the 15 are people who graduated with me or like a year or 2 after. So we're not talking about your hardened, grizzled 20-plus year vets, although one does come to mind, who asked for my advice and my help when he decided he wanted to leave teaching and leaned on me for some help, which was great. Helped him. Now he's like working in the private sector. He's happy. I'm working in the private sector. I'm happy. 14 of the 15 people I know personally that have left teaching since 2021 all graduated around 2012 to 2014 or 2015. They've all left. Good teachers, committed teachers, teachers that you would be happy to have if you were a student, teachers that you could rely on to do a good job if you were a parent or a taxpayer. They've all left. Why have they left? They've left because of unsupportive administration, stupid directives from people that have to justify their jobs at the district level, parents that go above their head without reaching out directly, go to administration, or decide they're going to contact the superintendent instead. That's how insane some parents are. They've all left education. Why? Because the conditions suck. Because there's legitimate burnout. Because for as fun as it is to say teachers have the summer off, I will tell you that in a lot of cases, they deserve the summer off. If you were talked to in as demeaning of a way as many of your friends and family members might be that are teachers, if you had to deal with that every day, you'd want to take a month or two off as well. Now, I'm not going to tell you that being a teacher is as hard as going out and doing backbreaking labor or putting your life on the line or building skyscrapers. We're not going to go that far. But the burnout is real. And good teachers are leaving. Teachers that are at or near the point where they can qualify for the state pension that, by the way, might not even be there by the time they go to retire. They're all getting out. Why do I bring this up? Because another good friend this week decided he's out. He got a job in the private sector. He's out. There goes another good teacher. Why am I mad? I got an email from the Pennsylvania Department of Education telling me that I need, me, not a teacher anymore, I need to go get continuing education classes, which, by the way, are bullshit. When you get your teaching degree, right, you have a finite amount of time that you have to then go and take 2 graduate classes to keep your certification, get it to level 2 where it like remains in perpetuity as long as you just keep up with your professional development hours. They emailed me to say, you still need to do, I think it was like 30 hours or 60 hours or some nonsense. Or my certificate, my teaching certificate and my principal certificate were going to lapse. I have a certain amount of time. And so I sat back and I thought to myself, do I ever intend on going back to education? I said, no. But then I thought about it, and the way that you have to get your certification back if it lapses is pretty bad. I think it's like, it's multiple grad classes. I remember somebody telling me you have to like redo student teaching, something nonsense, right? So I get this letter, and they say, but hey, good news. If you're not teaching anymore, you can put your certification on ice. Not on ice, not that kind of ice. They said you can suspend your certificate indefinitely. You have to go to what's called a voluntarily inactive status with your certification. And I said to myself, what the hell does that mean? It means that I don't have to go get those classes. But if I ever decide that I want to go back to education, I now have to do, I think it's like 1 or 2 college classes again to get my cert back. But at least I don't lose the cert. So I go on to the online portal, which is archaic. I go in, I apply. And as I submit the application, do you know what they gave me? They said, credit card, please. The Department of Education, I haven't taught in 4 years. The Department of Education says, all right, you want to keep your certification? You want to go voluntarily inactive? Credit card. I said, what's there to pay for? $75 fee to suspend my teaching license indefinitely. $75. Now, am I saying $75 is a backbreaking amount? No. But can you imagine, in a profession that is losing teachers, right? In a profession that is losing good people who studied for years, who completed their master's degrees, who got additional certifications, you're pushing all those people out. And on the way out the door, you kick them in the ass and say, either lose your cert or pay us another $75. You got to be out of your mind. Oh, and by the way, that level 2 cert thing they have to get after you do some college classes, they make you pay again. So you pay for your first certification. You have to then pay out of pocket to go take additional classes to get a level 2 certification. Then you have to pay again to keep that certificate. Do you understand why teachers get so frustrated? Do you understand why the teachers in your life, your friends, your family, why they are miserable? This is only a small microcosm of why. The Pennsylvania Department of Education. Crooks. As Greg Bondarenko says, what a bunch of crooks to take 75. You're damn right. Now, I see a lot of comments in the comments section. People talking about the craziness that teachers are seeing now. I still get texts from colleagues, old colleagues, people who worked in different districts from where I taught. It's insanity. If you had an idea, if you have kids in school right now, if you had any idea the kind of nonsense that's allowed, the kind of things that protected student groups are allowed to do, the kinds of things that kids are able to get away with, it would make you ill. And yet, if you're a teacher, you have to abide by it. You have to follow along. It is insanity. And there is a reason why good teachers are leaving at an unprecedented rate. That's it. I am out. Pennsylvania Department of Education, you got your $75. I'll tell you where you could shove it. I will talk to all of you on Monday here on the Russ Joy Show. Until then, I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart and it's also the name of the show. Let's get back at it with a little bit of positivity on Monday here on the Russ Joy Show. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. This has been the Russ Joy Show. I've been Russ Joy. You knew that because you're smart. It's also the name of the show, and I've said it twice now. Talk to all of you Monday here on the Russ Joy Show.